So you mentioned that you started the kindness campaign in cities, but then after the media got a hold of it, the schools actually came to you in the beginning.
Right. Yeah. I didn't reach out to this, have to reach out to the schools. They reached out to me and said, "Hey, I heard about your kindness campaign. Can you come and talk to our faculty about it?"
So when you went to talk to them, what were you proposing to a school?
Well, I just outlined the kind of activities that we were going to promote in the schools. That we had 5 different categories of activities that to offer them, and they could choose as many as they wanted to. And 700 schools chose parts of it, not all of
Okay, that's impressive.
it. So I couldn't go to 700 schools and talk to
No,
the
no,
faculty.
I couldn't
So
imagine.
that's why I created the kind of safe schools initiative manuals. There's 3 of them.
Did you create that before you went to the schools or before they talked to you?
No,
So they came to you first and,
no, we just that evolved as I more and more schools came on board. We had over 100 local schools, and that was just overwhelming to try to go out and speak to 100 schools.
well, I can imagine. So you created the manuals.
Yeah.
So tell me about the different parts of the manuals.
Well, very briefly, let me back up a step.
Sure.
I, this is important because back in 1950, James Coleman wrote a report and said that the most important ingredient in a successful schools was having a positive school climate.
Okay.
And so that stuck with me. And when I visited the schools, I could tell within 10 or 15 minutes whether the school climate was positive or not. You could just tell in the interactions and the expressions on the kids' faces, and just a subtle, but I could tell this is either a kind school or not. And so when I talked to the faculty, I said, well, I have developed about 100, maybe 100 some activities that you can do in your classroom, and they're key to subject matter.
Mhm.
And they're mostly 15, 20 minutes long.
Okay.
And so that's part of the big part of the program at that time. And so about midway through the first year, I got calls from the school saying, "Hey, we're running out of activities. Do you have any more?" And so I came up with this idea. Well, why don't you give me your activities that are successful?
Uh-huh.
And so I did, and they sent me a 1-pager with how the activity should be implemented in their classroom, and then their name at the bottom as a contributor. And after a while, I had over 300 different activities, kindness activities.
I keep people busy for quite a while.
Yeah. Well, that was the first component of the campaign.
Let me ask you a question. How did you, what would an activity look like for a particular subject matter?
Well, I don't know that off the top of my head, but they were keyed to subject matter. There were some that were scientific, some that were mostly humanities and literature. And so we tried our best to tie it in so that the teacher could use the activity in a normal part of teaching that subject. And so that was how we approached it. But after a while, one of the things we saw was that the kind of classroom atmosphere was still very negative. The teachers were looking for somebody to make a mistake or to get disciplined. And so I thought, well, we've got to do something about that. So I created a curriculum on character education.
Okay.
And so it was basically teaching kids how to cooperate with each other and not compete as much. Because the major component of the whole curriculum was who can do the best job, who can get the A.
Right.
So that was not the objective in character education. And so then I thought, well, they're also needing some kind of help in reducing the bullying in their schools. So I created an activity or component of the kind of safe schools initiative that dealt specifically about how you deal with bullying in your school, bullying and put downs. And I had research to back that up. And then I thought, well, I've read research that said that kids can learn how to resolve their own conflicts if they have skills.
That's interesting.
So I created a semester-long CAD course in conflict resolution.
Okay.
I said probably the best grade level to offer this course would be like the 6th grade
So you're looking at the course for students or course for teachers or?
course for students.
Uh-huh.
And then
It sounds like an extremely important part of the process.
and then the schools kept telling me that a lot of these incidents of bullying and put downs happen in the cafeteria, nowhere where we can intervene in any kind of real way. So I said, why not create a peer counseling program? Train some of the upperclassmen to be available when they see a conflict develop and intervene and ask how they can help. So I created a training program to train peer counselors.
Can you give an example of how a peer would be able to actually help mitigate a problem like that?
Yeah, they see a conflict emerge, an argument in the cafeteria, and they step up and they say, well, how can I help you with this? I see you're having a problem here. And most times the people were interested in getting some help because they were stuck. So that's how I trained the school peer counselors to look out for those kind of events that happen.
So at what age group would that be appropriate?
Well, that's a good question because I found out they were appropriate at all age groups.
Really, even young ones?
Yeah, even young ones.
They were interested in resolving their conflicts?
Yeah.
Huh.
And then actually the preschool teachers approached us and said, hey, you're doing this with a K-12 curriculum. What about us? We have a lot of kids who are acting out and doing negative things to each other. And so we created a separate manual called the Kind and Safe Schools Initiative. I'm sorry, Bright Beginnings. That's the one for the targeted preschools. And that one really helped the preschools to have some handle on how to deal with the negativity they were seeing.
So how would you handle a conflict at that age, preschool?
Well, I think again, just giving the teachers some orientation about what to look for,
Uh-huh.
and then to actually it relates to the last component, which is restorative justice. And then try to bring the people who are having an argument together and see if you could find some way to go past that and restore the relationship that happened and was there before the dispute happened. And that seemed to help.
Okay. It sounds really important. So it worked well even in the older groups?
Yeah, and what I did was make this kind of a collaborative effort. In elementary school, the students and the faculty or student and whoever the advisors were was about half and half. By middle school, the students had more say in what the campaign looked like. And then by high school, they ran it themselves with some, minor advisorship. So that was a neat way to kind of get everyone involved.
I think it'd be much more effective when the students actually could run their own campaign
Right.
rather than having somebody tell them what to do. They have to think it out themselves.
So let me give you one example of a school that did an activity and they sent it to me. It was very successful. They said, okay, we want you to pledge to be kind and respectful towards each other. If anyone is willing to do that, we're going to make a purple hand cutout and paste it on a big poster in the cafeteria. And we had this poster with all these purple hands on it,
Very cool.
with their name underneath.
Uh-huh.
So they were pledging publicly to do this.
I think teachers will really appreciate it right now. They hear some horror stories
God,
about how schools are.
Yeah, it's
Students.
a nightmare right now.
So how did you approach the board or how did you get this past the board?
I didn't have to really go to the level of the board I mean, usually the people who contacted me were the school counselor, perhaps the principal or assistant principal in charge of discipline.
Uh-huh.
Those are the ones who saw the problem up in front, front and center for them. And so those are the people who contacted me. And then I would get a request from them to come and speak to the faculty about the kindness campaign.
Okay, so was it an across the board requirement at the school that the faculty, all of them had to implement this, or did they have choices?
No, we said like, this will be successful if 80% of you participate.
Okay,
Because we knew there were going to be a couple of people who was, oh, we don't have time for that.
yeah, sure. So there was no requirement, they could just decide to do it.
Right, it
It
was
was probably more
voluntary.
effective if they made their own decision rather than being forced on them.
Right. I mean, there was probably peer pressure.
Sure.
So that's how we kind of got it started. And how I got the name The Kindness Dude might be an interesting story.
Okay.
I gave a presentation before a school in an auditorium. At the end, I said, you know, if you want to be part of this and part of this committee, contact the counselor afterwards. And then about an hour later, I got a call from the counselor and she said, oh my God, all these people are volunteering. I don't know what to do. We're running out of kindness buttons. So I said, I'll bring some more over. So I went over with 2 bags of kindness buttons and walked into the school. And there's this 2 kids, 6th graders, sitting in a bench outside the school. And one said to the other, hey, there goes the kindness dude. So I've taken that on as my mantle.
It seems appropriate to me.
Yeah.
So it sounds like it was quite successful in schools. So if somebody wanted to start a kindness campaign in their own schools and they're starting with your materials, how would you propose that they approach the school and what would they say and who would they say it to?
They would approach probably the school counselor first,
Okay,
because most of the school programs were coordinated through the school counselors. And that seemed to work. They had a kind of a bigger view of what was going on in the school and a single teacher would. And so they jumped on board and were successfully bringing the program to their school. So that's who I'd contact first.
okay,
And they might want to bring their principal in to a meeting, but generally they would talk to me just themselves and talk about the issues and problems they were having in their schools. One school said, like, we did a bullying survey and the teachers were the biggest bullies in the school.
that's not a good role model.
No, and other schools, we tried to find out this bullying survey, how much of the bullying is going to be reduced by the program.
Mhm.
And by giving the survey at the beginning and the end of the year, we found out it reduced bullying by up to 30% and put downs up to 90%.
That's a great result.
Yeah,
That's information that people who want to start it now can take back to the school that they're trying to
right.
approach.
And that survey is in the manuals.
Okay, good.
And it's downloadable. You can use it. There's no copyright on it.
Yeah, no, that sounds a good way to begin the whole process. And I know there's a lot of schools right now that are really desperate for help, so.
Oh, yeah. I mean, in my practice as a psychologist, I work with teachers who are burned out, and oh man, the horror stories they tell about what goes on in their classroom are just unbelievable. I never could imagine. I taught high school. I could have never imagined that happening in my classroom.
Yes, well, sounds like your program's a really good way to start.
Yeah, you got to turn that around, and it's a place to start.
Yeah, okay.